My sister-in-law wanted to use my house for her baby shower. However, just before the guests arrived, she asked me to leave because the event was only for close family. Hi, I'm a 32-year-old woman, married for the past 3 years to my husband, who's 35. We've been together for 5 years, but he's currently living away due to work. We're in a long-distance relationship, and he comes home every other weekend. Recently, we bought a beautiful, spacious house close to my parents' home, making it convenient for us to visit each other. I live there alone for now and absolutely love it. It's in a great neighborhood, has gorgeous architecture, and is simply a joy to live in. When we had a housewarming party, everyone complimented the house, including my sister-in-law, Carrie, who seemed especially impressed. Although Carrie and I aren't very close, we've always been on good terms. So, when she asked a few weeks ago if she could host her baby shower at my house, I agreed without hesitation. She's pregnant, and I didn't want to say no. Plus, I thought hosting the event might be a nice change for me since I spend a lot of time alone. Carrie told me she wanted to use my house because renting a venue would be too expensive. Her home is nice, but it's smaller and not as impressive. I admit her compliments about my house worked on me. I felt flattered, and since she'd always been kind to me, I didn't see any harm in agreeing. We planned everything together, discussing decorations, food, and other details. Carrie visited almost daily in the 2 weeks leading up to the event. I was genuinely looking forward to it, thinking this would bring us closer. On the day of the event, I helped with the decorations and got dressed up for the occasion. I even bought a gift for her baby. About 15 minutes before the guests were supposed to arrive, Carrie suddenly asked me where I was planning to spend the next few hours. I was confused and thought she was joking. It's my house, after all. But she was serious. She told me I wasn't invited, as the event was only for close family and her closest friends. Shocked, I reminded her that I had helped plan everything and even allowed her to use my house for free. She apologized for the misunderstanding, saying she thought I was helping her out as a kind gesture, like a professional event planner, which makes no sense since I'm a banker, not a party planner. She then said she didn't want to stress about a fight while pregnant and insisted I leave, explaining the event was meant to be intimate, and I didn't qualify as close family. I was furious. I left the room and stepped into the backyard, unsure where else to go. I tried calling my husband to tell him what had just happened, but he was busy with work and couldn't answer. Feeling frustrated and out of options, I did something unconventional. I called Carrie's husband, Jim. Jim, who's 33, has been married to Carrie for 2 years, and they've been together for 4. I don't know him well since he's generally a quiet and reserved person, but I explained everything to him. He listened patiently as I vented my frustration, and when I finished, I apologized for dumping all of this on him. I explained that I didn't want to confront Carrie further because she was pregnant, but I needed someone to help make sense of the situation. Jim apologized on her behalf, which calmed me down a bit. He then told me I absolutely didn't need to leave my own home and that he would come over in a few minutes. He wanted to resolve things calmly and avoid escalating the situation. I waited in the backyard for about 15 minutes. Before the first guests arrived, Jim showed up at the house. Carrie looked surprised to see him, and I walked back inside as he entered. The 3 of us gathered in the living room, where Jim firmly stated that I had every right to stay for the baby shower and didn't need to leave. Carrie tried to protest, but Jim silenced her with a sharp look. She glared at me angrily for the rest of the event, making it clear she wasn't happy with my presence. At one point, I briefly considered canceling the whole thing out of frustration, but I decided against it. I had put a lot of effort into helping plan the party, and I didn't want all that work to go to waste. I decided to stay calm and maintain my composure throughout the event. Afterward, Jim apologized to me again for everything that had happened. Carrie, on the other hand, refused to even look at me. Jim explained that she was upset because she believed I didn't belong at the event and felt like I had imposed on her plans. It was infuriating to endure her attitude, but at least the nightmare was over. Once they left, I finally called my husband and told him everything in detail. He was outraged and wanted to talk to his sister, but I told him not to bother, at least not that night, because it would only make things worse and lead to more arguments. I just wanted some peace, but apparently that wasn't in the cards for me. The next morning, I received a call from my in-laws, and they were furious. They told me that after Carrie and Jim got home, they had a huge fight about what I had said. Now Jim had decided to leave and wasn't speaking to Carrie or anyone else in her family, including my in-laws. This was shocking because Jim had always been on good terms with my in-laws, who were old family friends of his parents. After their fight, the entire family had blocked Carrie and Jim on social media and other platforms. It was clear they didn't want any interaction with them. Honestly, I didn't understand how any of this was my fault, but apparently my in-laws and Carrie believed that if I had just kept quiet and gone along with what Carrie wanted, none of this would have happened. I found it outrageous that they tried to blame me. It was clearly Carrie's fault, not mine. I reminded them that I had generously allowed Carrie to host the baby shower in my house at no cost, but instead of showing respect or gratitude, she tried to humiliate me. She told me I couldn't attend an event being held in my own home because, according to her, I wasn't a close enough family member. I also told them that if my husband had been around, Carrie wouldn't have dared to act like this. I didn't regret telling Jim about what Carrie had done, because he was the only reasonable person in this entire situation. If he had decided he'd had enough and wanted to leave, I trusted his judgment. I wasn't going to try to fix the situation because I didn't think I had done anything wrong. If Jim wanted a divorce, he had my support. I wasn't going to talk to him or retract anything I'd said just because my in-laws thought I should. I told my in-laws that if they expected me to speak to Jim and fix things, they would be disappointed because I wasn't going to do any of that. Then I hung up. Since then, we haven't spoken, but they've been trying everything to get me to respond. It's been 2 days, and though I haven't blocked them yet, I'm considering it. They kept insisting that the issue was between Carrie and me, and I shouldn't have involved Jim. I don't see where they're coming from. Even if it was just between Carrie and me, Jim is part of the family, and I thought he deserved to know how she was acting. I believed he would handle it rationally, and he did. My in-laws are twisting the facts to make me feel guilty, but I can't help it. I don't feel bad about what's happening to Carrie. They keep saying my decision could result in their future child growing up without a father, which I think is an exaggeration. That's how they're framing it, and honestly, I don't even know what to say about it. The only reason I haven't blocked them yet is because their words are making me doubt myself. My husband, however, has reassured me that I didn't do anything wrong. He said he would try to talk to his parents and help them understand that this wasn't my fault. It was Carrie's. If they wanted to support anyone, they should support her instead of attacking me. At this point, I have no idea how to handle the situation. I don't feel guilty, but based on how everyone is acting, I don't think this will end anytime soon. I just want it to be over. I also don't understand why Carrie did what she did, so I don't have any answers. Am I the bad person for involving my sister-in-law's husband in our argument and telling him how she acted? Update 1. It's been almost a week since the baby shower for Carrie and Jin. Their divorce is now official, though Carrie has yet to address it publicly. Jin, however, has announced it on social media, making it big news. I didn't think it would happen so quickly, but apparently, he's already filed the paperwork and the proceedings will begin soon. They've been living apart since Jin moved back in with his parents. I managed to talk to him, though I didn't initially think it was appropriate after everything that had happened. I felt a bit guilty, but after discussing it with my husband, he suggested that someone from our family should at least reach out to him. Since Jin and I were the only 2 people not blocked by Carrie, it felt like the right thing to do. When I reached out, I told him I was sorry for everything that was happening, though it didn't sound like an apology, more like general sympathy. Even so, I think he sensed my guilt. He assured me that I didn't need to blame or punish myself for it. He admitted he'd been on edge for quite some time. After hesitating for a while, I sent him a text asking what was really going on. I felt I deserved some answers, and wow, did I get them. We ended up talking on the phone, and he shared everything. I told him I wanted to understand more because I couldn't figure out why Carrie didn't want me at the baby shower. From what I knew, her only reason was that she wanted only close family there. But she'd invited plenty of people who didn't seem that close to her. I'd even looked at the guest list. There were many names that didn't make sense. That's when Jin told me the truth. Carrie didn't want me there because she was hoping one of her friends would attend, someone she was desperate to impress. This friend had married into a wealthy family, and since Carrie planned to start her own business a few months after the baby was born, she wanted to convince this friend's husband to invest in her venture. Carrie had gone to great lengths to impress this woman, even hosting the baby shower at my house while pretending it was hers. Obviously, she couldn't pull that off if I was around. That's why she wanted me out of the picture, but I refused. Ironically, the friend didn't even show up because she got sick that day. Still, it doesn't excuse Carrie's scheming. When they got home, Jin confronted her about what she had told me. She admitted she wanted me out of the event to impress her friend and avoid revealing that the house wasn't hers. Carrie acted like this was all perfectly normal behavior, pretending to live a life she didn't actually have just to impress someone she went to school with. Jin told her it wasn't right and that she owed me an apology. After all, I'd been generous in letting her use my home, but she had humiliated me. Carrie refused to admit she was wrong, leading to a huge fight. Apparently, this wasn't the first time Jin had caught her pretending to be someone she wasn't. Since their wedding, she had been obsessed with living beyond her means, trying to show off a lifestyle they couldn't afford just to impress people. Jin said their marriage had been strained for years because of this behavior. At first, he let it slide because he loved her. But as time went on, it became harder to ignore. Now, with a baby on the way, her reckless spending and refusal to compromise had pushed him to his limit. After the fight following the baby shower, Jin decided he couldn't take it anymore and left. He told me that even if I hadn't reached out that day, things were spiraling so fast that he likely would have made the same decision soon. I also discussed this with my husband. While he felt bad for Carrie, he didn't think Jin's decision was unjustified. We didn't know Jin very well, but from what we could see, he had been a good husband to Carrie. I feel bad for Carrie, especially since she's dealing with all this while pregnant. But honestly, she brought this on herself. I don't understand how a grown woman in her 30s can be so concerned about impressing shallow, gossipy friends. For now, I'm stepping back from the situation. I've decided to block Carrie and my in-laws, at least temporarily. They have enough to deal with without me getting involved. I hope they can figure things out, whether that means reconciling or finalizing the divorce. Jin still sounded conflicted when we talked, like he might want to give things another chance, but Carrie's stubbornness is making it hard for him to see a way forward. I think they should at least try to work things out, maybe even consider therapy. Carrie's behavior isn't normal for someone her age, and I hope she can recognize that. For their child's sake, I want things to work out. Growing up with divorced parents is never easy, and I wouldn't wish that on my future niece or nephew. I'll keep you updated, but for now, I'm staying out of it and hoping for the best. Update 2, hi everyone. My husband got back a few hours ago and we've been talking. He told me he's been in contact with Jin, and the two of them have been talking over the past few days. Jin has made it clear that if Carrie apologizes for everything and agrees to go to therapy, he's willing to give their marriage a second chance. Now, my husband is trying to communicate this to his sister, but so far she hasn't responded. Her parents have said she's avoiding everyone right now because she's very upset and needs time for herself. I suppose everyone is giving her the space she needs at the moment. I'm not sure what decision she'll make, but I hope it's a wise one. Regarding my previous post, some of you accused my husband and me of being selfish or greedy for not helping Jin and Carrie in the first place. I don't even know how some of you reached that conclusion, but let me clarify. We bought this house at a good price, which is why we were able to afford it. If it had been out of our budget, we wouldn't have purchased it. Secondly, Jin and Carrie are financially stable, so I don't think they'd appreciate being treated as if they needed charity. My husband and I are on a similar financial level to them, so the idea that they would need our help or vice versa is strange and irrelevant. But since some of you mentioned it, I felt the need to clear that up. Another point of contention for some of you was my hope that Jin and Carrie could work things out. Some of you believe Jin deserves better. Well, maybe he does. But at the end of the day, It's his choice. I don't understand why so many of you feel the need to vent here, calling me names and labeling Jin as a doormat without even knowing what kind of person he is. They love each other despite their current problems. They're also about to have a child together, which is significant. They can't just toss each other aside and move on with their lives given the circumstances. So yes, I still hope they can resolve things. That's all I really have to say for now. Update 3. Hi everyone. It's been almost 3 weeks since I last updated, and I just wanted to let you know that Jin and Carrie have decided to work things out. I'm genuinely happy for them, even though Carrie and I are still not on great terms. From what my husband has told me, they've both agreed to attend couples therapy for a few months and see how things go. They'll continue living separately for now, and once the baby is born, they'll reassess their relationship during those first few months. If everything goes well, they plan to move back in together. I'm happy for them. I know this isn't what many of you were hoping for. Most of you seem to want Jin to leave Carrie for good. But fortunately for him, he's doing what feels right for him. Everyone else will just have to accept that and move on. Update 4. Well, after a few months since my last update, I'm here to bring it to a conclusion. Jin and Carrie are officially divorcing. They went to therapy together for a while, but it didn't work out, and they ultimately decided to go their separate ways. The good thing is that at least they tried, and they came to the realization that it's better not to stay together. As I said before, it's their decision, and it seems like they're ending things on good terms. The baby has been born now, so I guess they'll be co-parenting as separated parents. At the very least, they're committed to giving the baby a good life, and that's what matters most.